I would like to give a bit of an intro of what is coming in this video in a way of explaining to you the form of how this video is going to be structured. Now, since I have been involved in the academic world again after completing my bachelor degree, which was good 12 years ago, and most of you know, but for those of you that don't know, I am a criminologist by profession. And back in the year 2008, I have graduated Police Academy in Macedonia, the country where I'm actually coming from. I am currently doing master's studies related to aviation management at Wildau Institute of Applied Science here in Berlin. And that comes out from the work experience that I have. I used to be a cabin crew that flew for Qatar Airways for 10 years, and I have resigned from my last work position, which was cabin service director. So if you have been observing my YouTube videos, you can see that lately there is a different form being presented to you out there in terms of informations that I share and also in terms of the vocabulary that I use. And I believe that this is the academic way of expression and the academic way of speaking. And I do believe that if you're aiming for such a thing, this tool can actually help you and can help anyone who's watching this video to certainly benefit from the same in your next job interview, to present yourself as somebody who has an academic way of communication, an enhanced way of communication, I would say, that will definitely and most certainly fulfill my goal, which is preparing you and helping you to be that outstanding candidate that when the recruiters will see you, they will instantly want to have you to be part of the team. You will, so to say, employ the recruiters in a way such as they would be working in your favor. Now, the academic speaking skills or the academic way of communication actually gives us a structure for the way of the things that we want to say, as well as it is a way of communication that is a bit more rational than the rest of the ways of communication, and also is a way that has a focus. All of this is extremely useful for effective communication in our every walk of our individual lives in general. You will be grabbing people's attention, most certainly the recruiters and the human resources team's attention, if you do express yourself in an academic way, and definitely will be successful in whatever you decide or wherever you decide to enroll yourself and grab a job opportunity. So let's start in this video elaborating how do the recruiters know how many cabin crew they should recruit. This is a question that actually many candidates have been asking me. And also something interesting we're going to discuss is who is shaping the number and where that decision comes from. Since we have some time until the recruitment processes resume, we should use this time to learn some fundamentals and to be effective in order to gain more knowledge of the role that we want to be in. Now, if you're a current cabin crew or perhaps you're an airline employee that works in different departments, then I believe this is the right YouTube channel for you to stay tuned. Now, the cabin crew department is a segment of the airlines that deals with an important aspect of the role, and that aspect includes also the cabin crew requirements or certain numbers of cabin crew being presented in order to function with less disturbance as possible. In this video, I would like to highlight the management strategy of the airlines to redirect its short, medium, and long-term strategic plans along with enhancements of their customer services throughout the rationalized recruitment processes, which includes selection, includes training, and includes promotion processes. As usually, whatever I'm going to be speaking, I will be referring mostly to the Middle Eastern airlines such as Qatar Airways, Emirates Airlines, and Etihad Airways. One of the strongest components of these airlines are their human resources management practices, which are considered among the best practices in the recruitment, in the selection, in the training, and in the promotion systems. People look up to these systems as systems that are generating one of the most intensive training modules in the customer service in the entire world itself. Now, the strength of the training programs that the airlines in the Middle Eastern have are actually the stringent standards that are required in the hiring processes. Those standards are actually contributing to the quality of the customer service, which unequals in the industry. Now, excellent trainings are also bringing a better competitive edge of the human capital, but this triggers transfers to competitors with different benefit offers. And I wouldn't go into details about this, as this is not a component that I'm going to be elaborating in this video. What I believe is important for us to know and to highlight is that the cabin crew and the pilot costs are among the largest expenses for the airlines, and an effective manpower planning is therefore important in order to maximize this profit. And most probably, just like myself, you're also asking yourself now, what is that manpower thing that Julia talks about in this video? Manpower planning is actually a strategic plan for the long term for the balanced resources in order to manage peaks of demands, as well as to continue to analyze future improvement planning. When we talk about man planning, that is basically an optimizer that is establishing a module where the supply and the demand values are actually presented and they are adjusted either manually or by an optimizer if that is applicable. Now, these demand values are including something which is called forecasting or a known production. They're including forecasted illness, perhaps of the cabin crew or the pilots. They're including ground duties, the training activities, the leave, etc., etc. And taking into consideration the cabin crew and the pilot role in general, we also must over here mention that something that influences is also the number of resignations, the retirements, the fleet number, how many aircraft the airline has, the network that these aircrafts are covering of the destinations, and also the frequency that they fly with, but also much more than this. Now, the basic components of a manpower system are definitely the people, the jobs, the time, and the money. And most of the time we are talking between each other and we're concerned that we should spend money when we go for that recruitment processes, but the very same thing worries the airlines also. When an airline is deciding on a manpower policy, it is important to be aware that to be aware of something of how these components are actually interacting with each other, the components that I have mentioned earlier. Ideally, the purpose of a manpower planning is actually to provide the right or the required number of the right qualified personnel, at the same time to be specific, to be specified at a specific time, at a point in time, and also to the minimum cost. But often the constraints of the system do not allow the needs to be matched perfectly. That is something that we must mention over here and must be aware of. If we want to explain a bit more about the manpower planning system, we should say that it's a process which considers three important elements. The first element is referring to analyzing, reviewing, and seeking to predict the number of personnel that is needed in order to achieve the objectives of the organization. The second important component of this system is predicting the future supply of personnel in organization by, let's say, examining current personnel stocks, by future recruitments, by the wastage, etc., etc. And the third component is considering policies to reconcile any difference that would exist between the results of the first and the second component that we spoke earlier. Now, predicting the number of personnel of in this case, the cabin crew, let's say, that are needed in future is one of the main goals of something called a demand forecasting. And I would like to ask you to please remember this word. There should be something established which is called a demand forecasting. This forecasting is usually the most difficult part of this manpower planning system that we talk about. And the reason for this is that the demand forecasting requires a customized model, since the factors in a need of consideration are differing considerably between companies, and especially at moments like this during the pandemic time, where in some parts of the world we can see that the air travel is in a higher demand as in other parts of the world. Over here we have the case with India in general. There is a higher demand to fly over there, and domestic airlines do have some recruitments opening. Now, this output level of the companies is a factor that if we consider, we might know that at the moment new recruitments at some parts of the world, such as the Middle East, simply cannot be happening. This level serves as an input to all the manpower planners out there. Some other factors that usually need to be reconsidered in this case are, let's say, productivity changes, technological changes, organizational changes, market forecasts and trends, some corporate strategies, etc., etc. And some methods for prediction are, let's say, the exploration of the time series data, the work study techniques, the regression or the factor analysis, and the product life cycle. However, there is something that I want to highlight over here. A common sense and a recent experience suggests that the acceleration and the progression of COVID-19 across countries drives definitely changes in the immediate actual need for the cabin crew and the pilots and the airlines in general in their recruitment processes. And such changes put an enormous strain to the demand for traveling. For instance, we are witnesses that some airports have went into bankruptcy and that the airlines across the globe have been faced and have been forced to conduct a massive redundancy to their current staff and much more than that. When studying personal supply within organization or the so-called popular recruitment process, the manpower modules are often used as aid or a help. The foundation of these manpower models, of the majority of the manpower models, is actually the representation of the organization as a dynamic system that contains stocks and flows. And changes in the systems are definitely represented by flows, which is the number of movements between the groups or the employees during an interval of time, the resignations, the recruitments, and stuff like that. And if we take into consideration, again, the current situation with COVID-19, these flows or movements have been very limited due to the low demand for traveling, of course, because in this video, we're talking about the manpower systems, which are concerning the airlines in general. Now, the manpower models of the system are used to understand how factors, for example, the different recruitment policies, wastage, the promotion policies, the age distribution are actually affecting the supply of personnel or the so-called recruitment process that we talk so much on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram account. Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many strategies of how the gaps between the supply and the demand within the recruitment processes in the companies can be actually closed and can be fulfilled. Although these factors are possible and they can affect the processes, and they're also similar, and in this time they are all to more or less in the airlines kind of same. Each of these factors that we spoke about in this video, which are related to the retirement, to the age, to the fleet number, to the destinations, each of these factors have to be investigated thoroughly, and many are actually a separate fields of studies. And I have been mostly referring in this video to the COVID situation, and this is actually one of the core reasons why simply the recruitment processes are very limited, or in the worst case scenarios, when it comes to the Middle Eastern airlines and the cabin crew role, these recruitment processes are simply not happening. And according to my expertise and what I do know is they will not be happening for quite some time until the aviation industry in the biggest or the most part of the world bounces back. I often know how to say aviation is not India, it's not Germany, it's not USA or Macedonia. Aviation is the entire world itself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking up into the future with something called an imported level of hiring decisions. When that's going to be happening, how it's going to be done, and what are the changes that we'll be facing are some of the very frequent questions that we interact on daily basis, mainly over my Instagram account, xcrew, and also it is part of an engagement that we have between each other on daily basis, as I have mentioned, and that results to an increased desire for me, at least from my side, to research and to learn more. We will definitely keep on doing that, but also we will keep on supporting each other through social media network as much as possible in all the different forms that is possible. But I would like to encourage you to please do not stop learning. Don't forget the 4 components that I always strive and speak about on my Instagram account and over here on my YouTube channel. And most of you know those 4 components are actually the health, the happiness, the knowledge and the strengths. Whatever decisions that you're going to be bringing in your life, whether to get a job now or to enroll yourself into a cabin crew job if there is an opportunity in your country, don't forget that health is an important component, as every job within aviation requires us to be in both excellent health and fitness. Happy, we should have that cheerful personality to love to work with people, to have an outgoing personality, to present ourselves as happy candidates, happy people in general. We should be knowledgeable. The beginning of this video, I've highlighted something called an academic way of expression, which I do believe is an important component to help you to present yourself as an outstanding candidate and to be remembered, and strong, to be confident, to know that everything you speak and you will promise to the recruiters, you're actually gonna do that. Therefore, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't leave this video without subscribing and hitting the notification button, and I'm gonna be seeing you very soon. Bye bye and have a nice day.